happy good morning, good afternoon, or happy midnight, depending on when you're watching this. You're gonna have to get through this lecture one way or the other. We are not slowing down for COVID, so this content is really important because we pretty much cover it 8 times in the first 9 weeks, and the last 4 times are for grades as far as in your writing, so please make sure that if you're skipping something, don't skip this one. So we're going to start talking with lecture number 1 about sentences and structure with the 4 different sentence types and the idea that there are certain requirements in order to qualify as sentences, and everything else is just illegal trash in the English language. So let's go ahead and begin. Half of this lecture is really easy to understand. The other half gets a lot more complicated. It is possible to understand this concept mostly without knowing words like subordinate, complex, clause, noun, verb. This week's flex work needs to be done if you can't remember what a verb, a noun, a preposition, and a conjunction are. You have to be straight on those 4 to understand the roles they play in phrases. There's no other way to describe it to you. So with the sentence, in the way of the sentence, you should be aware that every sentence has a subject and a verb. You should know that by the time you're in 3rd grade. You may have forgotten it every year. Subject and a verb. If you don't like those terms and you're not familiar with them, think about independence. These are parts of writing that if you took a pair of scissors and cut them out, they would make sense just as they are. They can stand by themselves. They're complete thoughts. So a subject and a verb and independence. You'll see that in the post-exit practice. So with the way of the sentence, you have a subject, which is a noun always, who or what the sentence is about. And then you have an action, like an action verb like run, jump, exist. And you have that kind of verb, and then you should have learned from Ms. Hudson or Ms. Jones about linking verbs. They show states of being, am, is, are, was, were, these implied conceptual relationships or descriptions using the word is. So if we think about, I was writing about Stephen King's It. I don't know how many of you have seen that movie. The book is really scary. So if I look at these 3 sentences, they all describe the book. They all have a subject, obviously it's book, as far as what the focus of those sentences are about, and then you have either a description or an action. If you are going to do the math for words, you don't have to do the math for words, but if we're in class and I'm trying to explain it to you, you can think about this as the number 1. It's one independent piece. So there is a way that's mathematical to remember these patterns. One independent piece, it can stand by itself. It has to have the meaning behind it too. Secondly is when you join 2 sentences together, and I know, I talked with my other students, Ms. Hudson said that you definitely did that, and kids were like, yeah, we know how to do that. And the only thing I want to say is that a lot of times you can join sentences together. You guys will use a comma and an and as one way to do that. But a lot of times people will think they're joining 2 things and they need to join them when they're not even sentences. Like every time you see the word and, it doesn't mean that you're building a 1 plus 1 compound sentence. The second type of sentence in the English language just breaks it up. You're only allowed to combine 2 independent ideas in the English language at one time. So if you look at what I have to say about Stephen King's book, it's 2 different descriptions, terrifying and brilliant. It's one of my favorite books. However, that's my limit. I can't have any more independence. I'm making fun of Colton Oyer right now on the internet because Colton writes like he thinks, and so he might have a sentence. Before he hits the period, he has 8 sentences put together in one. He doesn't even notice because that's the way his mind works. You have to be able to recognize where the ideas are actually coming in your writing. You have to organize it, like literally, and we'll see that with our Lego assignment tomorrow. So when you join 2 sentences together, you can use a comma with a conjunction, comma, and, but, nor, for, so, or you can use a semicolon. You don't use a comma with it, you don't use and right after. It's just a piece of tape that leads the 2 ideas together. It's mostly important to use a semicolon when the 2 ideas are closely related in the meaning that they have. The closer they are, the more there is a justification for the semicolon. In math, that would be 1 plus 1. Right, because you're joining 2 sentences together. It would look like that as an equation. Now we hit the second half, which is hard. It's hard for kids in advanced composition in high school. It's hard for students at this level as well. Although all these notes are in Google Classroom too. So when you hit complexity in your writing, where you add in different phrases and descriptions. Sometimes those descriptions are cause and effect. In the English language, it's required that you have a cause and effect relationship to get complexity in your writing, in order to have like a complex sentence, to hit that grammatical structure. So if you look at all these phrases, they would have an action that happens after them. Unless she told the truth, where the street curved sharply, this is like a location, like where the street curved sharply, the car crashed. Unless she told the truth, she went to prison because he didn't eat lunch, he was hungry. So to hit complexity, it's not just about the fact that it starts with one of these words. That's important. You can get a list of these, I'll hand you one, and you'll start putting in phrases that are complex into your writing. However, it's not just that. It's because these are sentences. He yelled, he didn't eat, she told, the street curved. You'll only one time take a quiz in this class where you have to identify which sentence is which, just once. After that, we have to take what you write and change it into these different structures or forms. Okay, so it has to have an independent piece and something has to happen. Here's some examples of complex sentences. Cause and effect. Why is the book terrifying? What's the cause? Because Stephen King created amazing characters. This phrase can go at the beginning, it can go at the end. You guys will love to use the word because you abuse it, overusing it, but it will always make complexity because it's a cause and effect word. So in math, I call this a 1/2 sentence. These phrases that aren't quite sentences, they kind of are, they are cause and effect phrases, they will rise to the level of complex. All right, that's pretty much the 3 hard parts because the last sentence type is just combining 2 sentences together. The book is terrifying, it's brilliant, and then adding in a complex piece. So really all you're doing is taking a compound sentence and sticking a complex phrase in it. Everything else in the English language, when you organize it the wrong way, probably doesn't make sense. This is just the natural way that language unfolded as far as how language connected with meaning and kind of communicated it clearly. We don't speak like Yoda and backwards. This is kind of the pattern of the English language. A compound complex sentence, you're not there yet. This is the first lecture. Maybe by the lecture 3 or 4, you can start writing in these consistently. So it's going to allow you to hit the holy grail. This is the best kind of sentence you could write. I'm telling you that Air software scans and recognizes sentence structure, sentence type, and if it is error. The algorithm can do that. So like, I don't want to say this is, if your writing is trash as far as the structure it's built in, it will scan horribly for your error assessment. It's all computer graded. We got to hack the software and feed the software what it wants, but it is also perfect writing. So it's not like it's not right to do that. This is just a model to take a sentence through the steps. Simple sentence, joining 2 together with 1 + 1. Add in complex phrases either at the beginning of that phrase. Those are all cause and effect. Putting it at the end. Or having a compound complex, which is just like, you can use more than 1 complex phrase. You could use 20. Really, let's not go there yet. You can't really use a bunch of them unless you're a good writer who's careful and knows how to unfold them as well. At this point in our lecture, and at this point in our class period, we're going to log in, and you're going to log in to Socrative.com. Now, the only difference is, like when you go there, there'll be a place to hit student login. You don't have to register. But if you're online, you're not here live with us. So what you're going to need to do if you're online is go to Socrative, and you're going to use, you can use the room name that's posted in Google Classroom as well. I haven't posted my video yet, so you can't do it, but I will post that and put that in the assignment description. Okay, that's it. Thank you.